Howdy, friends and floorheads. Episode 11 of the Umbral Meads in the Dark. Got a lot to cover, and we're going to jump right into the heist, but we got a few things we need to talk about first. And just to set the stage, Joe's character, Reagan, overindulged, much to Joe's delight, on the last downtime. So you're going to notice Reagan is not present, but for those of you that are watching, you can already see that Reagan has a new character. And for those of you that have been following, you should recognize this character. So we're going to start with a prologue where we get a chance for Lamplighter, Talus, and Overwatch to realize that Reagan's gone and someone else is here. So we're going to cut to the grotto, the refurbished basement of this library where the Umbral Means have claimed their headquarters. And if you remember, it is damp and dark. Each of the members of this crew have their own little area, their own little corner of this grotto. And where we normally would find Reagan in her corner with her books and her little desk, she's not there. But in the center, where we have kind of the table, which doubles as where they eat, where they discuss, but right now where they plan, we see Overwatch bring over a map of the wharf and has spread it out on the table. And Lamplighter, Overwatch, and Talos have decided, okay, we're not happy with the fact that Ulf really has one up on us. He may have kind of saved our rear ends when it comes to Aaron and the bill hooks, but especially Lamplighter just feels a little uncomfortable and doesn't really trust Ulf. And what they have decided to do is take advantage of some of the intel that Lamplighter has uncovered. And that is Ulf is a dirty character. He's a dirty player. He has been taking money from the bill hooks. He's been paying off the bill hooks. He has been taking money from the blue coats and he's been paying off the blue coats. And what they have decided is if we can get proof of all the double dealing that Ulf has been involved in, we can keep that in our back pocket so that if Ulf ever tries to cross us, we have got a one-up on him. And the three of you are standing around looking at the wharf, seeing where the headquarters is, right next to the docks, and starting to formulate the game plan of how you're going to break in, find Ulf's office, and find some of the shadow books that show these multiple different crisscrossing payments that he's been making. And Talos, you have brewed fresh coffee. Everybody's got a fresh cup of coffee, and it's not particularly cold down here, but this always kind of brings a bit of warmth to each of the players, each of the characters as they start to drink their coffee. But then suddenly the temperature drops drastically to the point where the three of you kind of look up at each other and like, are you feeling this? And we see Overwatch kind of looking around to see if somebody left the door open. And a blue mist starts to appear around Reagan's desk. And Joe, can we describe what that mist forms into?
Yeah, so at this point we kind of like pan up as we just kind of see like kind of layered and flapping like layered cloth kind of comes up to like a cape. All of it is in this sort of electric blue. The It begins like very slowly. I think like it produces the clothes first and then it's the bones, and then over that is knitted over like a circulatory system, and then muscles, and then this kind of pale blue flesh that forms into a very sort of noble bearing individual, kind of held to themselves at rest, almost sort of like lounging in the air. As yeah, we see the spectral form of Nirix.
So for those that may be catching us midstream, Joe, we've got Nerix, who is they, them. Can we describe Nerix's relationship to Reagan?
Yeah, so Reagan was working on some sort of ritual to be able to communicate with ghosts to redeem them, to get them to be like less violent. And the first ghost she tried this on was Nerix, and with that sort of inexperience, something was different about the way that they came about into consciousness, and out of a sort of a mix of like, you have given me like a little bit of a semblance of existence, and also it's all very interesting. Nerix has stuck around with Reagan. Reagan definitely considers them to be her best friend, and Nerix is sort of a hedonistic individual. They hop from body to body to experience Duskvol in its squalor, in its luxury, and also in its weirdness.
Talos, I think you're the one that really is affected immediately and immediately pieces things together. And as you see Nerix form over by Reagan's desk, what is it about Nerix that immediately makes you unsettled?
Well, especially as Joe described, like how Nerix assembles, basically forms the spirit body or the ghost body. So that's really the thing. Like, oh, not this shit again! And basically, Talos immediately, like as he sees it, spills the coffee all over the plants we have on the table, and just takes the mug and throws it against him. It just get out! Get out of here!
Well,
And I guess the mug flies through directly Nerix, and back to you.
you're very kind to share, but unfortunately at this point it's not exactly nourishing. If you would like for me to experience it, I could take one of you over for a moment.
Oh, hell no! And Talos just backs into the corner. No, you won't. And I held in my hand, I immediately held out, I believe it's called the ghost ward or the charm that could push out the ghost or pull in, depends on how I use it. Just like, no, you won't. And
Is that any way to treat your allies?
like, you could have knocked, maybe, right?
They just
For
kind of look
starters.
at their hand and like pass it through a bookcase. I'm quite sure I could have figured something out. This was more efficient.
I'm gonna need a fresh batch of coffee. I'm like this. And Talos is basically in the corner, just trying to disappear while being in the room. I don't know how to put it better.
So the only thing that kept Galen from doing something similar is the fact that you did it first. And the thing that makes him snap out of this, like, oh no, there is a spirit showing up in my house. How the hell is this happening? Why are they at Reagan's desk? Like, reaching into his pocket where he has his own spirit bane charm, just as though it were a pocket watch, and is like getting ready to like fling this thing because he's like, I don't know who this is. I don't want him here. No. But you spilling the coffee makes him go, wait a second. Like, that takes him out of that reaction to go, okay, collect yourself. You're in the middle of your web. You can do whatever you want. Put it together. And as you kind of shrink into the background to coffee and act like the ghost isn't here, Galen's gonna be the proper host as much as he can in this situation, which amounts to If you're our ally, it would seem that introductions are in order.
Well, I do already know all of you. But yes. How to say this? I am what you might consider many friendly faces. I am Nyrix, friend to Reagan, and for, well, a little period of time, because I have my own needs and wants, while Reagan is off doing distinctly more important things, I would like to find out about what has been occupying her time. So, I would like to engage in what little petty crimes, violence, get a new sort of experience with each and every one of you.
So, overwatching this whole time, his back was to where Nyrix formed, and the other two guys is what scares Overwatch. Coffee getting thrown up and blasted everywhere, and he kind of steps back like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And then he realizes what direction Talos is talking towards, and kind of turns around. And I don't think Overwatch is concerned with that. I mean, he's got a ghost cat, right? I mean, he's seen some of this kind of ethereal stuff, and there's going to be two things that come out of Overwatch's mouth. One is, "Have you seen my cat?" And two, where's Reagan? Is she okay?
Well, cats are capricious creatures at best. I do find myself likened to them quite a great deal. Suffice to say, I have no bloody idea. As to where Reagan is, she's off doing something important.
Is she safe?
No.
As a player,
And
great answer.
With that, we will cut into a little bit of mechanics. So we are now preparing a heist. And in the planning and engagement phase of Blades in the Dark, it's very different than any other heist game that you may have encountered. And you'll see the mechanics as we play. But the first thing that the four of them decided was, what was their target or their goal? So the target and the goal here was to find some usable incriminating evidence on Ulf. They decided their method, and that was going to be stealth, which means they are to trespass unseen. And then they were asked for a detail. What is their point of infiltration? And what they decided was, we are going to break into, because breaking into his bar was not, and his casino was not crazy enough. We're going to one up that and go right to the heart of Ulf's operations. We're going to go to the Union office, where Ulf does all of his business on the wharf. He is in charge of the Skovlander Union at the wharf. And if he's to have any type of documentation, books, or anything related to his businesses, this is where they will find it, in Ulf's office. So now, knowing that, we got the detail, we've got the approach. Next thing we need to do is talk about loadouts. So the way loadouts work in Blades is each of these four characters are going to choose a level of loadout. And it's going to be, what are the categories? It's light, regular, and heavy. And if they choose light, means that they have fewer options of things that they have brought with them, but they can pretty much pass as like, yeah, this person looks like a normal person walking around Duskvol. Standard gives them a few more options to use for equipment that they would have brought with them, but makes them a little bit more suspicious. And then a heavy loadout is they basically brought a duffel bag with them. In the last heist, Talos brought a heavy load and literally brought a crate of stuff into the casino. So I'm going to start with probably the most interesting one, which is Nyrix. Nyrix, what loadout are you going to take?
So you might think it's interesting. It's not. These ghosts don't have pockets. So I don't get to pick a load.
Okay. How about for lamplighter? What is lamplighter's?
Given that we are returning to our stealthy roots, I think he is going. Yeah, he's going to go light.
Overwatch
Light, absolutely.
and Talus?
So am I. Light.
Okay, so all three of them are light loads. Now, the characters know exactly what they need to bring on this score. The players do not, and that's part of the flexibility of Blades, right? So they have just chosen the amount of stuff they're bringing. But as we start playing and we start unfolding this incredible plan that the four of them have come up with, we'll realize how they knew exactly what to bring. So it's a really neat mechanic how equipment and encumbrance essentially is handled in Blades. The next thing we need to get a sense of, because we're going to jump right into the heist, we need to get a sense of the engagement roll, which tells us how does the heist start? Is it going to start smooth, a little bit rocky, or am I going to drop them right in the middle of the danger? So the way the engagement roll works, first we need to designate who is going to roll the engagement roll.
We have a new guest here in the hands of Joe. Let's let Joe handle it.
All right, so
Yeah.
Joe, we're going to have you roll the engagement roll. You get 1 die by default.
And you get another one because of our second story crew ability.
All right, so now we have 2 die because of a special ability that they've picked up as their part of their upgrades. Now we need to answer a few questions. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? Take +1 die. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? Take away a die. I'm going to give you a die because this is definitely bold and daring. So that puts us at 3 dice. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they are the weakest? Take a die if they're strongest against, take a plus die. If they're strongest against this approach, take away a die. I'm taking away a die. You guys are going to the heart of this operation. That puts us at 2d6. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? Let's start with you, Overwatch. Is there any of you people in your contact list that potentially could help you in this operation?
I don't think so. I had to burn one of my contacts. So, no.
Is there anybody who could be hurting your ability to pull this heist off?
No, I don't think it's applicable here.
Okay. How about for Talus?
So for Talos, I don't have any friends anymore. I burned them out as well. I'm thinking if there would be somebody that could harm us, because Talos might be owning maybe a long lost friend. I don't have them in the list, but I kept a blank slate, let's say. So, Talos was not keeping tabs on his problems. All the money we've poured in covering our tracks and putting it into the team, let's say, into the Umbral means. He barely has any coin himself. So I'm thinking like there's a person who has a grudge against him. Talos owns him probably money, especially with his because of his vice and everything. So there could be a person that in general would be looking for Talos to get some coin out of him.
So
Not
I
sure
love
how to
that.
incorporate it. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I'm not going to have it affect the engagement roll, but I really appreciate you putting a big fat thing in my back pocket as a GM. All right, last but not least, Lamplighter. Is there any context that could be helping or hurting you?
I feel like Celia could be helping us from the information broker, but I feel like not more than what we've already kind of said of we've gathered the information to like put together the pieces that Ulf is doing this. And so I feel like that was helpful in helping decide this is what we want to do. I don't necessarily think she has enough spider webs into that office to be like, yes, here's how we go in.
And what I'm going to do here, I think, if you're okay with it, Roman, is I'm going to give you +1 die because that's really Celia's who I thought was the likely one that told you Ulf is dirty. And if you want to get dirt on Ulf, this is where you want to go and this is what you want to get. So let's add 1 die from your contact with Celia. And I think that she really made it clear what your target is. You are looking for a book, some sort of document that's going to show that Ulf has been double dealing with everybody in Duskvol. All right, so where does that leave us, Joe?
And there's
Oh.
one more thing. We have a turf, which is secret pathways, I believe. So that's another +1 on top of that.
Very nice. So that's going to be 4 die. So let's go ahead and roll. And we're going to take the best of those, which is fantastic. It's a D6. So we rolled a 6 as our highest die. Now my dice didn't show up. Give me just 1 second. Let me fix that because I want that to happen. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why it didn't show up on the stream. Anyway, oh, I know why. Hold on. Nothing more exciting than watching. Actually, forget about it. I'm not going to do it. All right. So you guys start off with a crit. Good result. You are in a controlled position when the action starts. The wharf is the northwest district of Duskvol. The raised crisscross streets perched over the quay docks connect all of the different district buildings. Here in this part of Duskvol, we find the Dock Workers Union headquarters. That is your target. We also have the North Hook Company. This is the estate house near the Union House where the oldest surviving shipping company resides. You've got Ink Lane, which is has twisted back streets of the docks. It is home to many of the city's tattoo shops and newspapers. We've got Saltford's, a squat stone building that houses the notorious private bank. And across the street of Man o' War Lane is one of the largest blue coat stations, the Dock Precinct. It is directly across from the headquarters. The three of you are in heavy ankle-length coats with the collars high, and anybody passing by will notice the knit caps that you wear and the long coats that you wear identify you as dock workers. And if they don't spend too much time looking at you, that's exactly who you're immediately dismissed by. It often rains in Duskvol, but it's always raining at the docks. We've got the green electroplasmic lanterns lighting the cobblestones as the rain is hitting your head, your shoulders, and the ground below you. We see the stacks of crates and barrels that pepper every surface of the wharf, making it difficult to have a direct sight line to anything. We can see the Stankford Quay, the long dock that stretches out in front of you, that has different flatboats and different skiffs. A whole story below where you're standing. And at the very, very end of it, we see a large Leviathan hunter ship. We can hear the metal clanging as the metal of these ships in the channel are hitting the side of the metal docks. We see men and women lifting crates, working heists, steam-powered heists, to bring crates on and load crates off in this very, very busy district. The murky waters of the North Hook Channel are lapping up against the quay. We can hear the clanging of the ships, the metallic grind of the gears, the rain hitting the ground. And we also can hear the dock workers who, as they work, are singing some traditional work songs. Probably from a sensory standpoint, what stands out the most is the smell. Because the wharf always is this strange mixture of the acrid burning oils from all the different machines, from the smokestacks of the ships to the smokestacks of where they start to convert the Leviathan blood that's brought in from the Dark Sea. And it's mixed with that very distinct rotting Leviathan flesh smell that anybody who works at these docks, when they go home, clothes are just soaked with this rotten Leviathan flesh. The three of you are in an alley behind the headquarters. You know that there's a service entrance in the back that at this time of night is typically not left guarded. Thanks to your 6, it's definitely not guarded. You also know that Ulf is at a gala several districts away in White Crown. So you are confident that you are going to find Ulf's office unoccupied. What do you do?
One question maybe to Joe. How is Nerix traveling with us? Is it just now 3 of us? I mean, we have no idea how they are manifesting, or how does it work?
I think that the options are, and because this is Blaze in the Dark, we can flashback, and because Nerox has specific moves that they could be using in terms of flashback, that like for the benefit of the team, Nerox will like either be already inside of a person, or one of you will have like
No.
Probably Elias will have a like a, oh god, I'm blanking on the name, a box with a ghost in it.
A ghost bottle.
A ghost bottle.
Yeah, so
I've
now
created one actually.
so right now
Actually-
we don't see Nerix, right? But go ahead, Lamplighter.
I was going to say, if you don't have a problem with this, I feel like in this case, Lamplighter would bite his tongue, do a deep, like, clearing of his throat, swallow, and he would say, I should take the bottle, because this is already a situation where one of his trusted found family is not here. He's been told by someone who claims to be someone he's heard Reagan talk about, but he has never met before, that she's off for now, is not safe, and hopefully will return later. He's definitely not willing to let either of the remaining found family friends of his carry what could be something very dangerous. He is going to be carrying you, if that's okay.
All right, so we've got Nerix safe, tucked away in a ghost bottle with Lamplighter.
Do we go through the service entrance, which seems maybe too good to be true?
I think we
Yeah,
do.
Okay.
Yeah. At this point, I think we trust the information. Because I don't feel like we did this immediately after the last one. I think we took our time and put this one together.
I agree. And the headquarters is 3 stories. And initially I'm sure there were thoughts of let's break in from above, right? Let's pick a less obvious point of infiltration. But then doing your research, you realize that one, the service entrance at the right time on the right day is probably our safest entrance, especially with what we're wearing. And 2, Ulf's office is on the 1st floor. So from an efficiency standpoint, this made sense.
Okay.
I feel like in whatever stakeouts we were doing to see that this is the good place to go in, I imagine that with the stench of the area mixing around, that it only gets worse inside. Even if you're not in a refinery, that it's contained. So I imagine we've seen people step out of any of these at any given time to like take a smoke break just so that they are in a non-confined space and able to put a different smell up their nose. So I feel like we had the thought of, let's make sure we have a smoke before we go in or something, and come in, stamp your boots like you're just coming out of the rain, act like nothing's wrong.
It's crazy you say that because just as you kind of pull out the pack of the metal case where you have some smokes, which you may or may not actually use, but you've brought them with you just for this exact purpose, a woman dressed very similar to you comes out of the back entrance. And she sees the three of you kind of on the other side of the alley, just kind of looks, assesses you, and just ignores you. And she props the door with a piece of wood and then sits on a crate next to the service entrance. And you see her light a small cigarette.
Nice little touch. The cigarette case that I have, it's the one that we, or it is a facsimile of the one we found. That is the Union gift, essentially. As we see her do this, I definitely get the thought of, we were coming in, not yet smoking, but we look like we're about ready to set up. Lamplighter goes over, pulls out a cigarette, and asks her for a light.
Yes. She pulls out, strikes a match, puts it up to you, and conspicuously, Lamplighter, you've left your case out for her to notice. And you just see kind of her shoulders and the tension in her drop a little bit. She doesn't recognize you, but she doesn't need to now. Not with this case, not with this emblem making you obviously a Union member. And she lights her cigarette.
Much appreciated.
She kind of just waves your hand. It's obviously she wants to be left alone. She almost like turns on the crate, not to be completely rude, but she's being kind of rude. Like I don't come out here to have conversations is the body language.
Yeah, he gets that. He steps back. He chit chats with the others, smokes in a business-like fashion. He's there to get the smell up his nose and go back to work. Or whatever he's doing at the hall today. Like, gets that done, and probably then at that point just leads the way through the door whenever
And
that cigarette's done.
Overwatch, you are always watching. You're always looking. You're a hunter. You're over observing. What is it about this woman that makes you nervous?
I don't know.
You look at her and you notice something that makes you a little uneasy about her. What is it?
I feel like there's a connection I don't know.
What I'm
Oh,
looking for is for you to tell me.
Okay. I thought I was trying to
Nope.
connect dots. You know what? She's wearing a crystal around her neck that is a ghost ward crystal or one of those.
That's a good one.
Yeah, something that you're not used to seeing on a dock worker, right? Something that belies her being simply a simple dock worker. And you're being a little sloppy about it because she sees that you see. And as soon as she notices, you see her just kind of slip the chain and drop it into her shirt and then get up and just kind of walk away a little bit to create even more distance between you to finish her smoke.
As she turns away, are there any bags, pockets, items of opportunity I might be able to pickpocket as she kind of slips away?
We definitely can try. Do we want to? What are we? So we're trying to pull something out of her pockets or to see if there's something in her
Yeah.
pockets.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our first roll of. So the first thing I need to do is, what is our goal? What are we trying to do?
The goal is to pull something of value, information, something out of a pocket that's exposed.
Okay. And what is our action roll? And I'll give you your position and your effect.
Based on the actions, I'm thinking either prowl or finesse fits the need. Prowl is more, well, it's traversing skillfully and quietly. But I think finesse might be the better chance of something of value. So I'll go with finesse.
Okay. So the character, the player for the character picks the action roll. In this case, finesse, which makes a ton of sense for what Overwatch is attempting to do. We've established the goal. Now I need to give Nick for Overwatch their position and effect. Position is going to dictate what's the situation, right? Is it controlled, which means not a whole lot of risk here. Things are, this is well planned. This is well set. This is not impromptu. If it goes wrong, it's not going to really go that wrong. This is not controlled. This is definitely risky, but not desperate. So your position is risky, and then your effect, I'll say standard. If you're trying to reach into her pocket, and if there's something in there, get it out of there. That's exactly what's going to happen. So if you're successful, you will get a standard effect.
I will go ahead and stress for an extra die.
Okay. So you're going to push yourself for an extra die.
+1. And I'm sorry, you said position was risky and effect standard, right?
Risky standard.
Oh, God.
All right. We roll a 2 and a 2 for a failure. Things go badly. You suffer harm or complication occurs. You end up with a desperate position or you lose this opportunity. Here's what we're going to do. First of all, how are you going to do this? How are you going to try to get something out of her pocket?
I'm imagining she has some sort of like pouch attached to her belt, kind of on her hip on the back. And maybe there was a clasp or something on it. And I was trying to get access to that without her sensing or feeling any movement on that belt.
So here's what the consequence is going to be. You reach down to grab serendipitously to grab this pouch. And you were hoping it was just going to be a nice little tug pull as maybe you kind of brushed by her a little bit. And then you realized she's got it clamped to this belt. And as you go to pull, it doesn't come off. Now, lucky for you, and this is a result of this being risky, not desperate, your hand is also in a reaching for a place that other dock workers have reached for on her before.
Oh, damn it.
And she doesn't realize what you were doing. She just thought you were just one other dock worker who thought that somehow you had license to greet her in a very inappropriate way. So the consequence is she's going to backhand you. And I'm going to give you a level 1 harm of bruised face. Now, the player has the option of resisting this, or you can take it. Do you have any level 1 harm right now?
No. And to be honest, I probably deserve it if that's what she thinks. So I accept.
Okay. So go ahead and take that level 1 harm. She slaps and she goes, if you try that again, you'll learn why Davis has one hand.
I'm actually going to respond to this. I go, ma'am, no, you had ash on your belt when you got up. I was trying to flick it off so it didn't hurt your nice pouch. I promise you, I wasn't trying to grab for anything. I'm not that type of person. But I understand where you came off on that. I apologize. I should have said something.
But you understand that the pension doesn't cover losing a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
She puts the cigarette out and she beats you to the door and goes back in. It is now slowly closing.
Grab.
Yep. All 3 of us grab it at the same time. Awkward
Scooby-Doo style.
Moment.
A
Yeah.
fourth
No, are we
hand out
starting to
of the
play
bottle.
yakety sax already?
Yeah.
So as you pull the door open, you're now seeing what is obviously the back area here of the Union building. It's a long hallway that stretches and the entire length of the Union Hall, and you can see at the front where is a modest, but more ornate than a single door entrance that when people are coming in through the front door, they would come into. There's a series of hallways. You have a good sense that Ulf's office is one of the right-hand offices. You were not able to know exactly which one it is. There's activity up at the front. She has gone right out the front door back to go back to her shift. To the back of you, you can see a man, large man, who's obviously working the front desk of the office, but he has not noticed the fact that the door didn't shut.
So do we know which door exactly it is, or we know just it's on the right side?
Now, there's maybe ways you guys could figure it out. That's not just opening a bunch of doors. I don't know.
So I would like to do a flashback if possible.
Okay.
Redeeming flashback.
Redeeming flashback, yeah. Not rolling twos, hopefully. And I'm going to spend some time scoping this place out and trying to map out Ulf's path once he gets inside, looking through windows and different areas of opportunity to see where his office truly lands. So we have a little bit better lay of the land.
So I'm going to take us back 2 days. Overwatch, always being prepared, decides, yeah, the information that we got from Lamplighter's contact is way too broad for me. One of the doors on the right, I'm not good with that. And we see Overwatch in the exact same getup that we saw Overwatch in before the flashback. And Overwatch is following Ulf as he comes from the docks. Now, Ulf, if you remember, is a very large man. He is tall, a good half-foot taller than any of you, and a good half-foot taller than any of the dock workers. He wears a sleeveless vest that he buttons to the front that's just a little too tight. And you can tell he's the kind of person that wears that kind of pinstripe vest a little smaller than it needs to be to make it clear how broad his shoulders are. He's got a white shirt that that's button down collared that he rolls the sleeves up to prove that he's still a Scovelander. He's still just a dock man. And he's got that steampunk pulp magazine white explorer mustache and white explorer beard. His hair is white and gray and it's kind of coiffed in a way that it's supposed to look like he doesn't spend a whole lot of time with it, but he does. This is deliberate. And I'm curious, Roman, you've spent some time with Ulf. What is it about Ulf's outfit that betrays him trying to appear as just a simple dock worker?
I think that in that vest, he has. It's not flashy, but it is very fine, hand stitched, like different colored thread up the edges. And it's just the fact that it is a better quality material than anybody else on the actual dock would be using. And the one thing that, like, even if you miss that, like, the thing that somebody not specifically looking for is going to go, there's something off here. He has a pocket watch chain. Whereas any dock worker, if they have some kind of watch, is going to have like a leather like fob or something.
Right.
He's got a chain. It's again, it's not gold or anything, but it's that little touch.
And there's a certain cockiness about the fact that he displays this and makes that there because let's say that there was a dock worker that maybe inherited one of these beautiful gold watches with a gold chain. The last place they would bring that to is the docks, right? They would keep that locked away and safe. Bringing it to the docks is just asking for trouble. And the fact that Ulf displays it so prominently across his abdomen on his vest tells you that he is so important that he is not worried about getting anything happening to this watch. So we see Ulf come from the dock, from the quay, and he comes up to a pumping station, which is an area where the dock workers can wash down after working with this Leviathan flesh. And you see him kind of washing his hands, and off to the corner behind a stack of crates, we see Overwatch. Overwatch, as he's finished washing his hands, he just kind of shakes them, and he starts heading towards the front door of the headquarters. What do you do?
I'm going to try to approach in the shadows, just get an opportunity of try to get behind him and through that door as he goes through into the building.
Okay. We're going to need a roll. So
can
our
do that.
goal is unseen. We want to follow Ulf into the headquarters.
Yes.
Don't touch his belt.
Yeah, his backhand's going to be a lot worse.
Mhm.
So I'd probably use prowl for this. This is definitely
Great.
a prowl. And do I need to put a position effect on that or just roll?
Oh yeah, always. So this is desperate. And it's going to be desperate for a few reasons. One, it's going to be desperate because um, I think if you were following anybody in, it would be standard. The reason it's desperate is because everybody is watching Ulf, right? He is the center of the attention here on the docks. Everybody gives way for him, and all eyes are always on Ulf. So it's going to be desperate. So you can, if you take this, you can go ahead and mark a XP for this desperate action, and the effect will be standard, right? So the goal is to be able to, without being noticed, get into the building and watch Ulf go to his office.
I would like to offer an assist.
I would love it.
Just because it's desperate, you know. So yeah, I think what I want to have Nurix do is they are currently in the body of like a dog worker who is like lodging a loud complaint to kind of draw a lot of attention. So that yes, people will absolutely look at Ulf as he comes in. That's fine, but like there's something else that's large, and I think like the complaint is mostly like someone scalped like a very specific shift that was promised to me, and I'm here to kick up a big fuss about it.
So we cut very quickly to a conversation between this spindly dock worker he is way too small and thin to be your typical dock worker, but he has the cap, he's got the coat, and there's a clipboard up on the wall on the left side of the union break where the shifts are, and next to it is one of the supervisors. And this meek little man is just kind of looking at the schedule, and you see him nodding, and then all of a sudden his body language changes.
That's not right. Are you like grabbing, like not even like immediate like whipcord, just grabbing the supervisor next like by the shirt? That's not right. That's not proper.
And the guy's looking at you, goes, Coy, I gave you the exact schedule you asked for.
Then why is Richmond in the schedule I asked for?
And a strength that we've never seen from Coy, that nobody's ever seen. Coy presses the supervisor up against the wall, and the supervisor is so stunned that this 85-pound man is pressing him up against the wall. Coy has never complained before. Has always just come in, done his work, been made fun of. There's this whole thing about it, and we see Ulf walk by and just kind of look and go, kind of like nods, like, good for you, Coy. Right? Just kind of gives him a bit of a nod. He's headed up the steps. So what is this assist going to give Overwatch?
Yes, that'd be an extra die.
All right. And you take one stress, is that right, for the assist?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So my base prowl is 3, which I've been working on. So I finally get to use it. Lord, bear me strength.
Ooh,
Nice.
we rolled a 6 for a success. All right, so 5, 3, 4, and 6. Very nice. You succeed. So we see Overwatch taking full advantage of the bit of a commotion, and there's some giggling happening. Some of the other dock workers are just enamored by the fact that Koi is finally shown and stuck up for himself, and really happy it's with this asshole supervisor and not with them. Ulf throws the door open as he gives Koi an approving nod, heads in, and we see Overwatch's fingers grab the door as you slip in. And Overwatch, lucky for you, the person working the front desk is busy. It's schedule day. So a lot of people are not happy about the number of shifts. Everybody's complaining. All arguments fall silent when Ulf walks in. Nobody's going to complain with Ulf around. And we see Ulf head down the hallway to the fourth door. We see him open, kind of look back, makes eye contact with you, but nothing suspicious, and heads in. I need you to take 2 stress for that flashback.
I don't like that last comment there.
And we have you now in the hallway with Overwatch going, fourth door, pointing right to it.
How visible from the front desk is that fourth door?
Right now, nobody's seen that. Right now, you guys picked the right time. You guys are good at this, right? So we've only got one person up at the front desk. Every dock worker is out mid-shift right now. Nobody's on break. Nobody's on lunch. Every indication is that unless you guys, wanted to start singing a dock worker song, you probably could get to that door rather easily.
Okay. I think we make a beeline for it.
Agreed.
And hopefully it's unlocked. Probably not, but
It actually is.
oh,
So
that doesn't
Lamplighter
seem safe.
Lamplighter reaches for the door, expecting to hear the click, and does not. It turns completely. You guys open the door. You don't have much time, so we see the 3 of you slip in.
As soon as we are in, I pull the vial out, and I don't know this personally, but would Nirix be able to hear me before I open the vial and let him out?
I think that would be fun.
Okay.
Because that sets up some stuff for later.
So you're gonna give them the heads up.
Yeah. I'm essentially gonna go. We're in. Essentially, I'm talking in a walkie-talkie ghost bottle.
I mean,
We're in, just like we talked about. And he's gonna pop it open. And the idea I have is Lamplighter again is wanting to keep his people safe and is not comfortable with the spirits, but is comfortable, has gotten better about it when Reagan is involved. So he's holding onto that thread in his head, being like, this is definitely Nirix, and it'll be okay. So he's wanting them to be involved and is saying, essentially said, keep an eye out, because I can't put my head through a wall.
And the mastermind in you, the utilitarian in you is just like, there's worse things to have on a score than a ghost. A ghost who's on our side. So I can completely see Lamplighter figuring out how to be comfortable with this as we see the ghost bottle open. Very quickly, Joe, can we describe how Nirix appears?
I almost see it as this time, and to be very clear, all of the emergences of Nirix are not strictly necessary. This is not how ghosts always appear. Nirix is just dramatic AF. So there is a roiling waves of electric blue energy that crash against the floor and up into the walls. And mentioned a little bit before, but Nirix does often retain the form of who they were in last. So we see Koi just kind of float out, and Koi, after standing up for himself at one time, had an amazing night that he does not remember. And everyone looked at him very strangely the next day. But yeah, still in that like very poised, very regal looking. Yeah, Nerix is just.
So you're presenting as coy as you come out. Very cool. Very, very cool. Our last inhabitant. Very, very cool. So let's talk about the office as you come in. It's dimly lit by these gas lamps, and there's all kinds of flickering shadows all across the walls. There's a surprising smell of incense, which is unexpected. A huge ornate wooden desk dominates the room. On the desk is cluttered with papers, inkwells, quills, and stacks of ledgers. And there's a large leather-bound ledger that's open on the desk itself. There's a high-back chair with a back towards you. And there's a row of filing cabinets on the wall, and each cabinet is labeled with a different year. You can see stacks of papers and files peeking out from these drawers. In one corner of the room, there's a bookshelf filled with books about labor law, economics, and politics, and the history of Duskvol. On the opposite wall is a large framed portrait of Ulf Ironborn, looking sternly down upon the intruders that have just come into his room. The windows are small and they're high up on the wall, and only a little bit of light from the lamps outside are coming in and flickering in. This is obviously, as it presents, where Ulf does his business and where Ulf stores everything. Vaslav, there's a detail that you notice looking over this room that tells you something's wrong. And I want to know what that detail is, and what's the feeling that Talos has that tells you that everything that I'm seeing isn't exactly, it's hiding something else. What do you think that is?
Maybe if I describe the scene a little bit. So as we are approaching the door, we notice, as you described, Talos is just holds the head, hold up, just looks around, and they take some powder that he has in his head, nothing special, just spreads it out a little bit, like on the desk. You see, like, as it lands on the desk, maybe a little bit on the floor, on the device, it starts to sprinkle a little bit, and we see, like, this is not, we should not touch these things easily. This is something wrong. Some kind of magic is going on here.
Yeah, there's an indication that there is something beyond in this room, or associated with the room, around this room. And Nirix, you sense this as well. You sense a strong feeling of the ghost veil. That the ghost veil, the layers are thinner here in the office than they were just outside or just in the hallways. The other thing that you notice, Talos, is you're kind of spreading this powder and putting out your Ghostbuster detector. You notice that the ledger that's prominently open on the desk has nothing written in it on the 2 pages that are shown.
I think in Nerix noticing that like there's some like sort of frailty to the veil. I think that the kind of expression that Nerix had like upon exiting is this sort of regal smugness that then turns into this like look of concentration, as I'm going to try and like as delicately as I can. Like we have that sense, but I want to sort of get into the veil and like define that.
Okay, so our goal is to try to get a clearer picture of kind of this vibe and this feeling. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, and our approach, our action?
Attune.
Look at you.
I can't stop myself.
So this is, I'm actually going to have this being controlled because the door is closed. This is the right time of day, or in this case, night, day, night, what doesn't matter in Duskvol. this was the best time to be here. So I'm good with controlled, but for reasons I can't talk about, it's going to be limited. Your effect is limited.
I think then I would like to push to get me to standard.
We can do that. So if you're going to take the stress, and we're going to push from limited effect to standard effect. So we're going to get a sense of why. Better definition of what's happening here.
Roll my tune. That is controlled. Now standard.
Mm-hmm.
A boop.
All right, a 5, a partial success. You, unlike Reagan, who has to go through a bit of a ritual to connect to the veil, Reagan's on one side of the veil, right? Whereas Nirix is the veil in many ways, always has parts in different places. And, the decisions that Nirix makes, they make decisions around where am I going to put my energies? Where am I going to put my focus? But going from one side of the veil to the other is a non-activity for you. You get a sense in this room that it's hiding things. And the sense you get is one of it being not a destination, but an entrance to somewhere else. That at one point, this may have been Ulf's office, but something tells you that there are layers to this office, and that what you're seeking may not be here, and what you're seeking can only be found through here. And as we see Nirix doing that, Talos, Lamplighter, Overwatch, you're kind of looking around, and there's a couple things that the three of you are noticing. Talos, you notice the 2 blank pages on this huge tome in the center near the inkwell. Cautiously, you flip a page. Both of those pages are blank. You flip another page. They are also blank. That quickly turns into you frenetically kind of flipping through the book. The entire book is blank. Overwatch is over looking at a stack of papers on top of one of the file cabinets. And Overwatch, you grab them and look at them, and there's writing all over them, but it's all nonsense. Not a different language, not anything. It's literally like a child who's pretending to have a paper that shows information. It's just scribbles. And Lamplighter, you go and you pull open one of the file cabinet drawers, and it's full of rocks to give the weight and the feel that it had things in it, but you realize it doesn't. And the last thing I'm going to give as part of your success, Nirix, is where the energies are the strongest are around our portrait of Ulf. That's our portal. And now a complication. So we hear somebody turning the doorknob. And the reason they turn the doorknob is the complication is that feeling the energies coming from Nirix, as Nirix attuned, gave Talos the heebies. And Talos, you knocked the inkwell off the desk and it shatters on the floor. That's our complication. Nirix can resist it.
So I think one thing that is sort of important, and I think in this moment of there is something that Nirix can do to sort of prevent this. I think and tell me if I need to take stress to say this, but I kind of want to flash back to like kind of late preparation as Lamplighter is telling Nyrix, like, here are the things that we need you to do, and then Nyrix, they just hold up a hand and say, I don't want you to get this mistaken. I am not your lackey to take orders. I am not your soldier. I am not your toy. I am not going to endanger my essence for the furthering of your goals. But I will help when I care to.
So I take it we're not resisting.
Maybe resist that consequence.
So we see the bottle break. Everybody's head comes up on a swivel. The noise is made. We see the doorknob turning.
I do hope you folks like doors. And I'm going to go through the portal.
So we see Nyrix walk right into the portrait. And I'm not sure what Nyrix was expecting when Nyrix walked through the portrait. But Nyrix, what you find is there's a room behind the portrait that you walk directly into, and a staircase that spirals down from there.
So as this mess is happening and Talos is now the inkwell, he immediately sees or hears the footsteps, maybe even that somebody's approaching, and will try to open the door. I will take my leech bandolier and I will pull out binding oil. So my super glue, I will just glue the door shut using my one load to enable the bandolier, which enables me to pick 3 out of the default things I have, and one of them will be the binding oil.
It's amazing how Talos always has exactly what he needs. No roll needed, Talos. You slide yourself. As soon as you start, even before this thing hits the ground, you realize, I'm not going to be able to catch this thing. This is going to make some noise. You immediately go to the door, pull out from your bandolier this vial, and you pour it on the door, and we see the door melt and seal near the lock latching. So as the doorknob turns, whoever's turning it definitely expected it to easily open, and we hear a clunk, clunk, and you hear a voice on the other side going, huh, it's not Ulf's, but it's not familiar to you. And you hear them walk away. All 3 of you saw Nyrix just walk into this 7-foot tall portrait of Ulf.
I realize that's illustrative. Like, it'd be really cool if Reagan did that, and then everyone would know to walk through. But Nyrix is a ghost, so...
Yeah, I think O's going to go up and touch the painting to figure out what the hell is going on.
So, and almost like when you have put a mirror in front of a cat, and then they try to go look behind the mirror to figure out what it is. Overwatch, you go up, and I think instinctively you're going to kind of pull on the picture, right, to pull back and see where the hell did Nyrix go. And as you do, you realize that it's actually a door, and your hand reaches around the frame, you pull it back, and we can see now, and Talos, you now notice as you look down, you can see the scratch marks on the floor and go, oh. As opens up, and we see Nyrix there standing on the small little landing at the top of a spiral staircase leading down.
Lovely for you all to join me.
Right.
So glad you felt like helping. Very much appreciate it. Not being ironic about it at all. Like,
I'm going to ensure that we return the painting back to the closed position as we enter this dungeon thing.
All right, so the 4 of you, 3 of you with steps, 4th one being a bit much about the fact that I don't have to go downstairs. we see the four of you work your way down the spiral staircases, which takes you a good 2 stories underground. And it takes you to the real office, which isn't pretending to be anything other than exactly what it is. The walls are plain. There is a metal desk in the center, another very high-backed chair that's turned around facing away from you. There aren't messy stacks of papers and books anywhere. Everything is very neat, very, very tidy. There's only the light from the electroplasmic oil that's burning on the lamp on the desk. And someone's in that room. They're leaning up against the desk with her arms crossed, completely unsurprised to see at least the 3 of you. The last time you saw her was in the archive. You look at the scarred face of Aaron, who's currently leading the billhooks. She also has her standard billhook outfit on, and you can see the billhook tattoo sleeves on both of her arms, the scars that run across the face that tell you that at one point she was a beautiful woman, but through all of the awful things that she's been through, she's now scarred up, yet somehow even more attractive in her own way. She's got her tight butch haircut spiked at the top, shaved on both sides. And as you make eye contact with her, she goes, as much as I think Ulf is going to be wrong, he's always, always right. Let's go to break.
she made the comment that
Oh, I think you're muted,
That-
Craig.
Yeah, Craig, you're muted. We
I'm
can't
back.
hear you.
There
we
we
go.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, she said the comment already that she wishes that Ulf was wrong.
Yeah, but somehow you always end up being right, is what she says.
So she knows it's us.
Well, let's take that half beat.
Mhm.
She says that, and then she tilts her head, and this is not a well-lit room. So when she looks at Neric, she goes, looks like they have an inside man. The little one, the one you told me about. And you hear a big sigh come from behind the high back chair as it turns around and we see Ulf. Coy, I expect better from you. And honestly, the other three of you, where's the witchy woman? Anyway, the other three of you, I let you play your little chess games. I let you enjoy your little part of the board. But this is becoming more and more frustrating for me. And quite frankly, I'm tired. And by the way, he makes eye contact with you, Overwatch. I didn't think it was possible, but you're more gullible than even your father. So I'm thinking, enough games. Enough double crosses, which turn into triple crosses. Enough with a cigarette case that you gladly took from me and one of my men. I think we pull all our masks off, don't you? And that's when his neck goes like this. And his skin starts to bubble. Almost like it's liquid. And the hairs on his prominent white mustache fall like snow from his face. And the hand that was pointing towards you, Overwatch, to make the comment about your father, the fingers start to elongate. And as his skin starts to turn gray and bubble, it starts to turn black. And has a shine, almost metallic shine to it. As his face melts, the skin just melts off, revealing a faceless, metal, beast-like head. And horns start to slowly form out as we see the shock on Erin's face as she starts to pull away from him, or it, or whatever Ulf is or is becoming.
This does not look like the things under the hive house that were guarding the final vault door, correct? I'm just trying to remember.
It does not. And the
Okay.
only thing that any of you know is what Nerix immediately knows. Nerix, you couldn't put your finger on it. You knew it was down here. And every time you have come close to one of these things, you have steered clear. Dealing with ghosts is one thing, but the demons of Duskvol are not to be trifled with.
Hmm.
Demon.
So Koi will place a hand, and it'll look like it goes on to Elias's shoulder, but it's just kind of enough above so it doesn't look like it doesn't look like I'm passing through, because I'm immediately Nirix is like, okay, there is definitely ways that I could be identified as what I am. So let's obfuscate, let's distract, let's just, they said inside man. That hasn't changed at the moment. So Nirix is hoping for a distraction so that they have more time to consider. And so placing that hand over Elias's shoulder, they would just say, it's quite possible that the bells won't ring for this one. If you wanted to protect your friends. And as Koi, I'm going to shriek and go up the stairs.
What?
I love that.
So we see Koi turn, and Koi, you barely are beating Aaron. Aaron is trying to work her, like, is almost like the other three of you aren't even there. She is trying to get the hell out of here. So where we are right now is we have this transformed black metal demon behind this desk. We have Aaron, obviously, as if not more shocked than you are, trying to get away. We have Koi being one step ahead of her, working their way up the spiral staircase.
I guess she wished that somebody didn't glue the door, right?
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
Well, I'm really hoping you have in your pack for later the assuming we go out that way, the whatever the solution is to melt that.
Oh, I do.
You got goof off.
Why do we just look at O? Just it doesn't.
Well, do we know about demons in this world? Are we familiar with it?
Do not. Three of you have never, ever seen anything like this. You have touched the veil. You have seen ghosts. You're working with one. But this monstrosity, this black metal demon that is now transformed and melted out from inside Ulf, no.
So
This
I
is
have an
unlike
idea
anything.
for a flashback. Let me know if that makes sense or if it's a bit too much. So we might, I would like it to be informational flashback. I'm thinking since I'm coming from Iruvia, I might have heard some stories here. There's something that I might have heard during I used to be a trader, so merchant. So maybe I heard some interesting story that I traded for valuable item, something in that direction too. And the aim would be to give us more information what this might be.
Okay. So the goal of our flashback is this maybe doesn't surprise Talus. So I'm going to throw a couple goals of this flashback out, and you tell me what works for you, Vaslav. One is in Iruvia, there was always rumors of demons, fables, and things like that. So we can have part of this be that Talus may never have seen one of these things, but has heard many stories about these things. Two, you've always had a weird itch in the back of your head about Ulf. Every time you've been in his presence, every time that you've encountered him, the fact that Ulf came from nowhere and suddenly was this powerful champion of the Skolvander dock workers. I think all of that is possible. But let's come up with something concrete to help you right at this moment. What is something in this flashback that could be of value for what Talos is now facing.
Something I would also point out is that on screen, Reagan has been researching demonology. Now, no one has asked her about any of it, but there has been a lot of information freely available in the lair.
So, what do you think about this for our flashback? Let's flashback to overindulgent Reagan. And I'm willing, and I'll decide how much stress this is worth, depending on how much the two of you push this. But I want to flash back to weeks ago when Ulf was identified as the target, before Reagan disappears and overindulges, and Talos walking up to Reagan saying, I have my suspicions about Ulf. I'll let the two of you role play this flashback. One thing I will tell you is that the more information Reagan gives, the more stress Talos is going to take. So I'll let you decide just how much information Reagan is able to share with Talos.
As Talos approaches the table, he has one mug of coffee for himself. The second, I don't know if Reagan drinks coffee. I would presume so, or a cup of tea. He puts that on the table, and so Reagan, there is something weird about Ulf. And it's not the good kind of weird. And since you seem to be the expert about weird, I was thinking, like, what would be your take on Ulf?
Something weird. Well, there are many potentials. I have at least some experience with vampires. Obviously, a little bit of experience with ghosts.
With what now? With
Hmm?
vampires?
Oh, we will talk about this later. There is, of course, the other option. Actually, hold on. She'll like push away and grab a book and say, "I did some work for the Dimmer Sisters, which you know, with." God, this might be a lot of stress because this is all canonical. I did some work with the Dimmer Sisters, or for the Dimmer Sisters, in order to bind demons with their names.
I heard binding ghosts, like, I did the thing, it didn't work out that well, but binding demons? Why would you even want to bind a demon? Why wouldn't, like, I would prefer to, like, fuck off demons charm, for example. That would be a nice one.
Oh, well, demon bane charms do exist. Which is a slot that anyone could take. I think it might actually be specific to whispers. Anyway, well, the exact why if I would want to bind a demon is I don't have why I would want to bind a demon. It was just a fun research project.
Would you, like, I like research, I like science, I like projects. Would you show me what's that all about?
Certainly. I guess a lot of it depends on how much blood you are willing to give up. And I think we can move into a montage of...
The only thing I want in this scene is that Reagan comes up, she grabs a book off her shelf, puts it, and hands it to Talos. And Talos is about to open it, and then suddenly Reagan puts another book. we just see Reagan stacking books, and Talos has now got like 7 of these tomes.
Big stack of books, and then like these like blood red leather scroll cases that she just begins slotting in any available pocket, like down the front of the shirt.
I can imagine the scene as she's putting like 4th book, then she takes the coffee out of his hands so he can use both hands to hold a pile of books. And that's just,
so
this
then
is
we
gonna need much more coffee.
We have the montage of Talos studying. And, the day night montage as Talos is now learning a lot about the legends and the workings of demons. So we flash back to current to the "I effing knew it" face that's on Talos's that we see on Talos's mug. Talos, what did all this research give you?
I don't think it would give me immediately that I could count a demon immediately at place. That seems a bit too much in a short time. But I think it would be finding a weakness to the demon that could buy us time. It could be in a form of something like a ghost charm. So it could be kind of demon bane charm, but that's kind of jerry-rigged in Dallas's workshop. Something that could weaken the demon potentially, but not just completely obliterate him.
So for 2 stress, here's what I'm willing to give you. You don't know exactly what Ulf is, but categorically you understand something, and this is a metal demon of some sort. And you remember reading about demons of metal. Not necessarily a black metal demon, but just, there's elemental natures to demons. And the one thing that you remembered is that the one thing that demons of metal origins and of metal constitution, what they hate is natural materials. So anything not forged, not manufactured, something natural. Is that good enough for 2 stress?
This is exactly that was my point of this whole thing. So for
Perfect.
2 stress, I put myself to 5. Then okay. What to do now though?
Well, I think that this creature, this beast, could have easily walked around this desk, could have easily hopped on the desk to close the distance. Whether this is part of its process, like a phone book, it tears the desk in half in front of it and just tosses the 2 sides of the desk to either side. Nirix, as you work your way up, you realize that the staircase ends with this metal grating, solid metal sheet that is now cut in half. The entire staircase leading up.
Mhm.
And as you get to it thinking, well, this is going to stop Aaron, it's not going to stop me, you immediately are warded off of this thing and are unable to just walk through it.
So I think Nirix, they just kind of tap it, of just like, that's one option gone, so I have to go with the first option, which is going to be spinning around and Aaron still running up.
Yep, and she is unfazed by you. She only thing that she's notices, you see the look on her face when she realizes that her escape route has been blocked.
I'm going to float forward and embrace her.
All right, so let's talk about what that means.
Here we go. So I have a move that is Possess, which is I can attune to the ghost field in order to take control of a living body. When your control is challenged, you must reattune, risking harm, or leave the body your control is challenged when you consume spirit energy from the host. So that's basically like how Nirix gets energy, is by sapping the life out of the people that they possess. When arcane powers act against you, and when the host will is driven to desperation. So I don't think that Aaron is going to be here for a long time, because I'm basically gonna throw her back at a demon. But,
all right, so go ahead.
But it's at least going to be a bit of a it's an avenue of distraction that keeps Nirix safe.
All right, so let's say definitely desperate.
Mhm.
So we're going to do a tune with desperate with standard effect.
Okay. I will push.
Can O go ahead and assist on this as well?
I'd love
I don't think so. I think it's far enough away. I mean, they're a good one story up above you at this point when this is
Oh, I
happening.
gotcha. Okay.
Plus, I
That's
just
right,
don't.
they're-
Yeah, and I don't have a sense of Overwatch. Even if Overwatch was there, I would know what the hell is going on right now. Now with Ghost, we don't have stress. We have drain, but if mechanically, it's the same.
I will. My players love doing this, mostly to make me think of new and interesting ways to hurt them. What would a devil's bargain look like, Craig?
All right. So what we are attempting to do is, if successful, we are going to possess Aaron. You can do a devil's bargain. You will successfully, on a success, you will possess Aaron. Regardless of success or failure, because of your attunement to Reagan, this attempt to possess Aaron will give Aaron a permanent attunement to Reagan as well. So whether you are successful or not, there's going to be a whole new ability that Aaron has that Aaron will never completely understand, but she will always know when Reagan is near going forward.
You're giving me consequences? How intriguing. Yes, absolutely, I will take that.
All right. So mechanically, the devil's bargain gives you what?
It gives me an extra die.
Okay.
Desperate modifier. +1 die.
Make sure you give yourself the XP for the desperate.
Oh yeah, give XP to Dirks. How delightful.
Describe the possession.
So yeah, as I think we see Nerox just poking the gate and kind of nodding to themselves and then turning, and then as Aaron is running, like again, just fully blinders on. I think that like in her panic, because she doesn't even notice Koi, she's like hoping in her mind, she has rationalized that the kind of thing blocking her path is just the shadow. It is just the light that has been cast, and is whatever happens, I am running through this. And all Nirix does is just kind of turn, gently embrace her as we see Koi completely disappear. And
we see a glint of blue in Aaron's eyes as you come inside. Far away, at that exact moment, we cut quickly to Reagan going, and then we cut back. You're in, Aaron.
Nice.
I want to go back down to the basement. Alice Lamplighter, Overwatch. This thing has ripped, like a phone book, has ripped this desk in half, thrown like tissue paper both sides of this metal desk. And as the metal clangs against the stone walls, and the beast starts walking towards you.
Walking or charging?
Walking with a very uneasy amount of confidence.
O is going to do a flashback to a time when he was with his father, nearing the end of his life. My thought, especially since my father worked with this or has some sort of ties with this Ulf, maybe let me know if I'm stretching a little too far, but
Don't worry, I will.
Yeah, for real. O's father was doing something for Ulf Ironborn, and maybe he got a sense of what Ulf truly was, and maybe started prepping for and researching what this could be. And my thought and hope is the father had acquired a is it a demon bane charm to potentially ward off demons, but not knowing it, just knowing that it was his lucky trinket that he kept on him at all times. And when his father died, he held onto that trinket at all times, and that's attached to his hip.
Take 2 stress. You would go visit your sickly father. And though he did not die of natural causes, this was before his death. You're telling him stories of how you've brushed up against this Ulf Ironborn. Your father's never told you about any of the work that he's done with Ulf, nor told you about any of his suspicions. And one of your weekly visits, you're about to leave, your father says, and just motions for you to come close. And he gives you a small, like, sniffer case, right? Where they would sniff tobacco out of. And he says, son, be careful with Ironborn. And just keep this in your pocket. And you take this small sniffer case from him. You put it in your pocket and you leave, not realizing that this was the last time you would see him alive. And we see you walk out of the hovel that he lives in. And as you open the case, out of sheer curiosity, all you see is sawdust, which you just kind of just shake your head. It makes no sense to you whatsoever. And you close the case, and because of your love and sentimentality towards him, especially after finding out that he had passed, you've always kept that case on you. It's in your pocket. Mark a loadout for me.
Okay.
I think Lamplighter's got to do a flashback as well, or else there's just there's with the statement of we've never
Worst
seen one of
Ocean's
these
13
before.
ever.
He's got to have something to work with, and it's not in this room right now, at least with what he knows. So way back before any of us ever met, he was a double agent in the war, and was a spy essentially. And while he hasn't seen a demon, I feel like in at least one of his operations, as I can only imagine the weirdness of a war in this world, somebody, one side or the other, had papers for a plan about not necessarily summoning them, but detailing, here's how we need to dress up a crew of, like, deep cover agents in case they get found, just to scare people off into thinking they're telling ghost stories, except worse than ghost stories, because those actually happen here. The demon idea would be, this is rare enough that nobody actually believes it's here, but here's the information we have to make it look good. And in that would include things, or like how to react if somebody, say for instance, threw sawdust at you, or other potential things that would make you not just immediately try to charge them, because you're not actually in that situation looking, you are looking like a demon, but you can't actually tear a metal desk in half. So you have to be able to be scary, but know when to leave and to make it look good.
I have a counter offer.
Okay.
And you tell me if it's okay. And if it's not okay, say, no, Craig, I like my idea better.
Mhm.
I feel like we have a 3-piece puzzle. I've given 1 piece to Talos.
Mhm.
I've given 1 piece to Overwatch. I'm thinking of giving, in this part of this flashback, giving the last piece to Lamplighter. And part of what I'm liking so far about these flashbacks that we've pieced together is none of you are aware of the other on this, right? We know Talos knows metal versus natural, right? Nick, Overwatch now has this container of sawdust in the sniffer case. And Lamplighter, which you have always known is if there were demons, every demon has a bane. Every demon has something that it despises and that it hates. And if you want, for one stress, I will give you, when you see Overwatch pull this sniffer case out, opens up the case, Talos goes, "Is that sawdust?" You go, "It is, and I know what to do with it."
Sure, I'll take
How do
that.
you, so that's where we cut back to. So take the one stress. Talos knows something natural. Overwatch has the sawdust. Doesn't no idea why. Just knows that here's Olfin, something's left up, and my dad gave me this. And Talos says, "Is that sawdust?" What does Lamplighter do as soon as he realizes?
Lamplighter, once
does
he
he know
knows
to
that
do?
it's what he knows to do is we need to get that sawdust in a circle around the demon. It doesn't have to be a complete circle like old-fashioned salt circle, but the what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a barrier?
The metaphysical intent behind it is if you run that around him and sprinkle a little bit and end up roughly where you started in some kind of contained space, that is enough to contain the demon there. And I feel like there is, with something else added to it, because the sawdust doing that would be too easy to this, with something else added to that, which I feel like maybe Nyrix knows or has access to, that has the ability to not banish or kill the demon, but disable them, like knock them out, not just have them in the circle pounding on a angry invisible wall, but just like you're done.
I think you've just given me the fourth piece of the puzzle that Nyrix will know. So I'm really good with this. So I'm going to need an action. Overwatch opens up his case. Talos identifies to you, "Is that sawdust?" You put two and two together, looking at the metal skin on this demon, and you know this is the barrier. This is the protection that we need. This is how we put something between us and it. What's your action?
Well, if I'm putting all these pieces together from observation, that's got to be a survey.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. So the goal is you are going to know exactly, ritualistically, how to use this sawdust to stop Ulf Ironborn in his current form. I'm good.
Cool. Sounds
So
good.
let's talk about definitely desperate.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I'm going to, for now, make it limited.
Okay.
All right. So the goal is to stop him or it.
Mhm.
And you will get some of that if successful.
Okay.
Can
I will-
we assist to increase the effect?
You
Can
can.
only push to increase effect.
Or push.
can
I will
assist for
happily
extra
push
die.
to increase the effect.
You
Okay.
can only do one of those.
So you're going to take 2 stress,
Mhm.
and we're going to go from limited to standard effect. So it's definitely going to block and stop this demon. What's your stress situation? Let's get a quick assessment on stress real quick. Lamplighter is using 2 stress now.
With that, I have 3 left.
Okay. Talos, what do you have left?
4 left.
Overwatch?
Same 4.
4. And Nyrix, where are you on drain?
A bunch. 6.
Okay.
6
So
already.
the survey is going to piece this all together and allow Lamplighter to grab this sawdust from the case and immediately correctly lay the sawdust as a barrier between you and Ulf Ironborn.
Okay. Anybody want to take a stress to add a die.
So-
I have a perfect idea of how you could help.
You've
So
already
you can
spent
only
it.
do one thing. So
Right.
you
Oh,
don't
you can only
push
do one.
or
Okay.
BSS.
So there is devils.
Yeah. What do you got for me,
Okay.
devil wise, Craig?
What's that?
What do you got for me, devil's bargain wise?
Oh, to get an extra die?
Permadeath. Sorry.
Level 2 harm, demon scar, whether you're successful or not. And if you fail, that's not the only consequence. So even successful, you are going
Demon
to be
wedgie.
you are going to be burned in a way that you don't realize yet. That you are going to acquire a level 2 harm from this action. If you fail it or have a consequence, that could not be the end of the harm. So even on success, you're going to get level 2 harm.
Would it be possible for O to accept the devil's bargain?
You can resist the
Consequence?
consequence.
You can resist 4 lamplighter after.
Okay.
And the devil's bargain isn't a consequence. That is
Right.
something you're doing. But if
Okay.
make success or fail, then yeah.
I'd go big or go home. I take it.
Okay.
All right. So
What do we have in survey?
Do you turn
We
that
have-
into extra die or extra effect? I think you can
That's extra
shoot-
die.
yeah, it's
And
plus
you
1
can,
die.
okay, I thought you could trade that. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you can
I-
only push to increase the effect.
Yeah, being a spider, I have 3 in survey, so that'll take me to 4.
Mhm.
Got desperate, that'll take us up to standard. Am I missing anything?
Just make sure you mark the XP if you haven't already.
Oh well. All right.
This is a big die roll.
Yeah, here we go.
Talos yells, sawdust. Is that sawdust? Overwatch, you quickly turn to Talos and go, yeah? You're just like I'm glad you know what this is because I don't know why this is here. Lamplighter immediately puts 2 and 2 together. Lamplighter, you launch across and you grab this case out of Overwatch's hand and deliberately start forming a very specific pore pattern between you and Ironborn. And as Ironborn is headed towards you, Talos, you recognize what's dripping from its claws. You recognize the quicksilver that's falling from its claws as if its claws are wet with it. And it sizzles and burns as it hits. And just as Lamplighter's arm is finishing the barrier, its left claw, right before you draw it, comes and just cuts Lamplighter's face. And we see this quicksilver just burn a scar that immediately cauterizes as it cuts. So take a level 2 harm, demon scar,
Mhm.
and it hits this barrier. And it's and it stumbles back as Aaron steps down the steps. And this is the 4th piece. What Nyrix sees 1, 2, 3. This demon manifesting. The only way to get rid of it is to feed it. Because Ulf let this out. The only way to get it back is to satisfy it. And that's the thought you have as you use Aaron's right foot to land on the basement floor at the end of the steps.
So I think that we basically seen like Erin checking her pockets as she walks down. There might be a little, "What's up, demons? It's me, your boy." And because so here's the thing. We're going to feed the demon to get rid of it. I very specifically I, as Joe, don't want Aaron to die.
Sorry, are you saying that as a character that we need to feed it, or as a player now? I got a bit confused.
I don't think
It's
he's
like
speaking. I don't think they're speaking as Nyrix right now. I think Joe's just
Okay,
talking. as
okay,
Joe.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm not. This is no in character.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
saying to the audience and Craig that like I'm going to feed this demon using Aaron's body, with the understanding that, losing an arm or such, and always knowing when always knowing when Reagan is close is pretty neat. So yes, I'm going to feed the demon using Aaron.
But you said you don't want Aaron to die?
I, as a player, don't.
Ah, okay.
If it's necessary for doing this, then yes, I will feed Aaron to this demon. But I did take a devil's bargain that has very specific consequences while Aaron is alive.
Did I say anything in that devil's bargain about this only working when Aaron's alive?
Incredible.
Even
right.
better.
Let's feed the head of the billhooks to a demon.
We see Aaron. The three of you have no idea what's going on. We see Aaron, who is not between Ironborn and this barrier, come down the steps, start running towards Ironborn. I am going to need a roll. So our goal is to feed Aaron to Ironborn. What's our action?
So I built a very social character. So I think that the only way that I think that Nyrix would do this is as they are using Aaron's body to run up. I think we hear of like a little bit of the forgotten tongue, like from the civilization before, as like Nyrix is basically like almost using that as using some sort of incantation or some kind of spell to be like, I am demon bait, I am a sacrifice, I am pure.
So what's our action?
I'm gonna do a tune.
Yeah, and I like a tune here for several reasons, and I'll give you your position and effect in a second. One is you're not Aaron, you're in Aaron. And you are now, but Aaron's not gone, right? Aaron's just possessed. So if there was any point that you were going to be challenged on this possession, it's when you're throwing Aaron to a demon. So the attune totally works for me. Definitely desperate. I'm going to give this great effect because this is exactly what will cause this demon to go. Is if the demon is fed.
O would like to contribute to this, knowing what he knows about Aaron and the note that he found in the archive. Obviously, in a physical sense, O's happy to, as potentially Aaron's walking past, grab by the scruff and push down that stairwell to assist physically once they're nearby. So is that doable?
That's up to Joe.
Oh yeah. I also like the idea because it's I like that attune is like making it a sacrifice, and with O's interaction, O is making it a sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that a lot because whatever this will help against whatever resistance Aaron is offering. So yeah, so go ahead and take this one stress from the assist. That's going to give Joe an extra die. We see Aaron come down the steps calmly, now start running towards the demon. You don't know why Aaron's doing this, Overwatch, but you love what Aaron's doing. And we see you grabbing her and almost lifting her off her feet as you're launching her towards Ironborn. I still need the attune roll with a +1 die.
Here we go.
Desperate, great. So partial success. There's a consequence you suffer. Ooh, I gotta think about this. Here's the consequence. I hope you've enjoyed playing Nyrix. And I know Reagan is close to Nyrix. And I know Reagan's going to miss Nyrix. But as part of this consumption, all the ties that bound Reagan to Nyrix are cut and replaced by Aaron. So the consequence is you're going to lose Nyrix, and your new project is a new ghost, and that's Aaron. Do you want to resist?
I don't think that through everything that Nyrix has done over the past week, preparing with these guys, given everything that has happened and seeing that whatever jobs these screw-ups get into, forcing Reagan into unfortunate circumstances.
Distracting her.
But these shucklefucks did stumble upon a demon. So I don't think that Nyrix is quite done with Reagan or quite done with the rest of you.
All right, so we see Aaron launch towards Ironborn. Ironborn is falling back after bouncing up against this magic that Lamplighter pieced together and put between them. And almost involuntarily, we see Ironborn recognize what's happening as Overwatch is lifting Aaron up and launching Aaron towards Ironborn. And we see the clank of metal in Ironborn's chest start to unlock, like, and it opens into these metal jaws. Its chest opens in this metal jaws. We see Aaron launching into the side of Ulf. What we can't see and what's happening and what Nyrix feels and what Nyrix sees is Nyrix feels the pull into the center of whatever's inside of this metal demon. And Nyrix realizes what's happening, that Aaron's ghost is being expelled as Nyrix is being pulled in, and Nyrix realizes, holy shit, Nyrix may not know as much about demons as they thought they did.
Mm-hmm.
But Nyrix, by resisting this, is able, as Aaron starts to escape, grab Aaron and shove her into the center, this dark black center, and feed Aaron and pull away. And we see the clamps shut. We see Aaron's foot severed, fall to the ground. And the three of you see Nyrix, as Nyrix, pull away successfully. But I need to know what happens now. So we need to do the resist. So you're going to take 6 drain minus.
Okay.
I think this would probably be resisted by resolve.
And I have maybe one spin about it as you were
Please.
describing it. I was thinking, like, would Nyrix be scared of the situation that he would see that he could be maybe consumed as well, or something that they did not expect to happen? So we would know that this is something wrong is going on. And I'm thinking, I have an idea for taking
You're headed.
the resist instead of you. but
Ooh.
there needs to be a good reason. I would need to see that Nirix is suffering or that something wrong is going on.
Ooh.
You see Nirix visualized as the gape is open, as Aaron is headed in. You're seeing Nirix separate from Aaron, and now you realize that Nirix was in Aaron, and you see that they're trying to separate to escape this fate, but then you start to see them getting pulled into the center of this demon's maw. So what are you going to do, Talus, to resist for them?
I would definitely jump in and use the ability I have, which is the ghost ward, which could also lure the ghost towards it, depending on how I configure it. So as I run towards him, I see the suffering that they have, and I hold maybe it's a bigger crystal than the basic charm. As I'm with my white knuckles, I basically crush it in my hand, and at that moment I could reach to Nirix, to his form, and maybe there was a hint of a second that my hand turned into a ghost form as well and pulled him back towards me at
So
the
we
same moment as the crystal is crushed in my hand.
We see the hand. We see the flesh of Talus reach for Nirix, and Nirix recognizing what's happening, all that's happening, seeing Talus run. We see Nirix reach, and the moment when they're about to touch, we see Talus's fingers turn incorporeal and turn blue, dusted with this ghost ward that you crushed in your hand. You grab Nirix and you pull Nirix out as the maw closes. Talus falls, taking 6 stress minus.
Do I choose with what I
I
resisted?
can never remember if you choose or I
Yeah,
choose.
I know.
It has to make sense, but
Yeah, I think you
I would
choose.
like it would have to. I'm thinking inside would make sense to me.
I'm good with that.
I would understand that. Yeah, and
I'm good with
one
that.
thing to add, I would have 2 dice because I have 2 dots in the first column, but I have a ghost scar, and I think that applies here. So that lowers the dice to single roll.
I think it does just the opposite. I think in this case, it helps.
Ooh.
So roll 3,
Okay.
roll 3 die. Because we see the
love this
blue
game.
of this ghost scar that was given to you. Was
By
Nirix
Nick,
present?
actually. I think that was. Huh.
Yeah,
Trying to
but
remember.
it was
Doesn't matter.
in-
Let's roll.
Combination of both. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
in the monastery. It was one of their casters like reaching out because of Nick.
So
Let's see.
6 minus 5. You take 1
Nice.
stress. This does not take you out of the score. We see you pull Nirix back. As this maw closes and chops the ankle, and the foot of Aaron falls to the ground, and we see wisps of a reddish blue purple get sucked in with it. And instinctively, all of you know that is Aaron and the essence of Aaron as well. We see it fold in on itself as it closes. And like a can getting crushed, we start to see Ironborn crush into himself, pulling his arms start to crush into his center. The head crushes down, and all of it comes together, gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until a blue ring of energy puffs out from where Ironborn was. And it knocks 3 of you to the ground. Nirix, you've pulled your hand away from Talus. Talus is fully corporal again. This energy does not affect you. Ironborn is gone. Aaron is gone. And we close with Nirix saying one line. What is it?
I thought I told you I wasn't going to help.
Let's go to credits. We'll talk on the other side. So as I started to plan this out, I didn't plan it as a season finale, but as I started piecing together the dangers I was going to put in front of you, I was like, oh, this is going to be big. This is going to be big. And really what I wanted to, once I realized that in some ways I anticipated this score was going to kind of resolve some things. I think it was going to, we had a lot of tension going on between, Aaron killing the father, the double crossing, triple crossing happening with the bill hooks and Ulf and things like that. And in my mind, it was becoming unsustainable. As we were kind of kept stretching that rubber band more and more, I was like, we got to stop stretching. We got to let this thing snap. We got to let this thing happen. And then I think once I kind of pieced together that Ulf was going to be there, I was like, and he's been working with Aaron the whole time. The double triple cross type stuff, right? That the Umbral means were being played. Uh, and in my mind, I don't think Ulf and Aaron were playing you. You guys were just one cog in a much bigger thing that Ulf and Aaron have been doing, and probably really more Ulf was doing. And I was like, okay, so that's good, but like what could be bigger? And in my mind, you're in the basement, you fight Ulf and Aaron, and maybe Aaron's got some goons with her or stuff. I'm like, that's good. And I was flipping through the Blades book, looking up Ghost because I needed to learn about that sheet, which brought me to a whole new section of Blades that I hadn't looked at. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot about demons. So then I go, there's a really nice demon generation table that's in there. I was like, you know what? For that F of it, I'm just going to roll this up. I still have not made Alpha Demon, right? I just start thinking demons. Like demons are something we haven't seen yet. Let's see if I can play with demons. And I roll up this black metal demon. And I'm like, Ulf Ironborn,
Yeah.
black metal demon. And then the rest wrote itself. So I was and I was like, okay, now this, if we get through this score in one session, this is definitely going to be the season finale.
Yeah, that's a good bookend.
So Nick, you made a comment that something happened in this episode that you hadn't seen in any of the previous 10 episodes. You were saying during credits. What did you say?
It was the most silent, longest pause of this 11 episode group that I've ever seen. It was crazy how we all just kind of paused and went, oh my God, what the hell? I'm sitting there looking through the index going, D for demon. What the hell is a demon in this world? Nobody was prepared for it. It was awesome.
I loved how you guys, so I'm going to start with stars and wishes for myself. So my stars were really, I think the table did a great job piecing this all together. And just organically, it started with Vaslav's flashback, and then Nick, your flashback like was loosely tied but separate. And then Roman, when you presented yours, I was like, wait, no, there's the third piece here, right? And I loved the idea of the man of action ends up being Lamplighter in this scenario only because he makes the connections. He draws the straight lines, right? Which totally fits with who Lamplighter is. It was really neat to see it all pieced together. And it's a star for me because I'm constantly amazed how we piece together story. We don't plan for story, but in play, story just emerges. And when you think back to what we just told in 2 hours, all of it fits, all of it makes sense. And if you look at my notes right now, basically did a 5-room dungeon. So I've got outside the docks for the opener, but you got to be a little bit careful in the opener because you don't know what the engagement role is going to be. So basically, I had either the entrance or the gatekeeper is the first part of a 5-room dungeon. Either they're going to have to encounter it depending on the role or not. And basically, it was going to be a bunch of Skovlander guards that are inside there, right? So that would have, but because of your engagement role, that goes away. Next is the puzzle. It's the next part of a 5-room dungeon. The puzzle was, yeah, this is Ulf's office, and it's staged. The whole thing is staged, right? And we've got a secret door behind the painting. So that's all I had for that. The setback, which is the third part of a 5-room dungeon, the setback is Aaron being present and her presenting a whole new threat and complicating everything, right? So what we thought was true is not true. And then the boss fight is the fourth part of the dungeon, which is, Ulf being there and Ulf being a demon. And then the fifth part we didn't get to, and we'll do that when we start season 3 is the reward. And I'll have some time to think about what the fifth part of the dungeon is, the reward for all of this. So that's my stars was watching story emerge from play, which the more and more I run games, the less and less I'm planning for story. I find myself now planning more for situations, more for dangers, more for obstacles, because I don't have to plan for story anymore because story just freaking happens, which is really, really cool. So wishes for me, can't wait for season 3. We'll probably take, 5-6 months off like we did last time. But it's going to be a completely different Duskvol for the Umbral meets when we come back. And I think what I'm anticipating in season 3 and what I'm wishing for in season 3 is even more faction play, even more levels of intrigue. I think that's where we were headed anyway. And now we have got Bill Hooks without a leader. We've got Ulf Ironborn. Who the hell knows? Right? What is Ulf around anymore? Is he not around anymore? We've always had the Dimmer sisters in the background. We've always had the red sashes in the background. So I'm thinking what I'm wishing for season 3 is really seeing more of the faction play and more of the intrigue. All right, Vaslav, stars and wishes.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think I will have to pass up the opportunity to highlight a single moment because how what you described, we pieced together the story, and I think everybody participated in the same amount to the story, and that's it. Started from a nice hint that you did in the beginning, like you asked Nick, that he was a little bit surprised, but what
Big time.
what is uneasy about her? What do you see that is strange? And I think that was the little spark. Maybe that was the star moment. That was the spark that Nick was. Oh, I can actually make something up, and let's see where that takes us. And well, it did take us somewhere, right? So let's say
Yeah,
my evasive answer is this.
well, no, and what's interesting about that, so that's using a technique that I'm starting to glean from Jason Cordova and the way that he raised Brindlewood Bay is there's a very prescriptive way to allow the players to help with the world building. I had no idea what Nick would say, but Nick went right to spooky, right? Went to this crystal thing. And what's cool about it is, for us playing and for those of you watching, was she a ward of some sort? Was she was she protecting herself against Ulf? What was that thing? We'll never know. Or maybe we will someday, but right, maybe we'll encounter this woman again. But yeah, I mean, how great is that it immediately set the tone a little askew, right? Suddenly the camera went a little out of focus for a second with
Yeah.
that. And that was completely improv from Nick, right? And then us playing off of that and working with that tone. How about wishes for you, Vaslav?
Oh, you got me on that one. We have to do wishes. I have a wish for my character to develop more based on this, let's say, heroic action that I planted in, and based on how it turned out to be, that he immediately didn't explode, pass out, and God knows what would happen. I think he would start to go back and understand and starting to be less scared of the ghosts and the related stuff. So that's my wish for the character.
We definitely saw Talos face some fears.
Yes.
Right. And we saw a little bit of it over the last 4 sessions, but this was full blown. Like Face Up reaches out to save a ghost, which was pretty awesome. All right, Roman, stars and wishes.
Oh, stars! Everything everybody said so far. I love that. Just this table started out real fun, and we have just continued to coalesce into exactly what you're saying. Like we are still individual players and characters, but we are a machine for making story between the 5 of us at this point, and I love that. As far as all of the very excellent pieces of story that we got here, if I have to pick one, it's the fact that we got some closure for Overwatch, because I have loved that we've been getting little bits here and there about it, and it has been an interesting tension for me as a player, because we know, but our characters don't. And I'm just like, I want to interact with that because I want to see what happens, but I character-wise can't yet. So watching that just get some closure there for Overwatch, I thought was really good.
Well, and how great was it to see Nick tie that to the assist, right? To make the assist make total sense. Like going, oh, do you want to fight this demon? Let me help you, honey. It was
something
fantastic.
I would also point out for O's closure is it highlights something that Roma was saying of like a thing happened in his web that he didn't know and now might not ever know.
Yep. Yep. That's definitely on there. As far as things in the web, I like that not only did we all as characters and players have a good moment, like a your name in lights moment in this episode, but there was a lot of things looking forward to where we end up for next season. There's some interesting character development that will go a couple different ways. Like I'm already thinking like, how does Lamplighter, with this very noticeable unnatural looking scar on his face, work as a spider and work that into his persona? Like that's going to be interesting.
I purposely targeted the face.
I kind of figured, because my immediate thought was no,
Not the face.
not the moneymaker. Yeah, and that feeds right into my wishes of I am so looking forward to just playing with these new Legos to add on to what we're building here of these different character bits.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add to this is I'm going to be very specific about this, which is we got some revenge for Overwatch. I'd be careful calling it closure.
Correct.
That's a fair point.
That last
All right.
comment, I want to.
Yeah. Stars and wishes, Joe.
Ooh, okay, here we go. Star. I think it is just like we've talked a lot about all the really cool things that happen. But something for me, and this is again because I love spooky stuff. Craig's whole description, the reveal of the demon just existing, and the whole like very visceral image that it painted. And Nick talked about like the silence and just like letting that breathe was like very important to me. Like people might have seen I've made excited like motions, and I just tampering that down to be like, I want this moment that has been crafted to have the effect that it should have.
And the only thing I'll add to that is that a tool that I want everybody who runs games and plays in games to think about is it's okay if somebody's not talking. It's okay to let it breathe. That's a great way to put it, Joe. And it's something that I've gotten more and more comfortable with. And it only makes the game better, where you just let everybody think, everybody digest, and it's okay. Even on a stream where we're supposed to be, putting on a show here, it's okay to just let it breathe. I love that terminology. How about wishes?
Wish. I have two parts to this. My first wish is that I get to play Nyrix again. That was so much fun.
That was
The worst thing that
cool.
ever happened to Reagan.
And my other wish is something that has been pointing out, but I want to kind of drill down on like we are a tier 1 crew. In one job, I mean, there's a little bit of lead up. So we'll talk about like the kind of division that we've had with the billhooks, like putting someone up as maybe next in line, give them a bit of power. In one job, we have taken out the heads of 2 factions. That will have serious implications, and that is going to be, as someone who is running Blades, for Craig, that is going to be a very fun GM downtime turn of the power vacuum that immediately swallows the docks.
Yeah, 2 tier 2 factions, right? And yeah, the GM turn is going to be very, very interesting for me when I go through it. And we're going to do a time jump like I like to do between seasons. and I'll be very interested to finish that GM turn and kind of see the landscape and figure out where do we pick this back up again. So yeah, totally interesting. Gets ties to my excitement about the faction stuff. And the GM turn for this is going to be a ton of fun. All right, Nick, last but not least, stars and wishes.
Star was you, Craig, and not to kiss your ass or anything, but that moment when you forced creativity and forced that part of my brain to, no, you get to choose this. What do you want it to be? And it's like, oh shit, like, okay, I'll get on this pedestal and I'll try to do something here. I was stoked for it, and it happened to kind of fall in line with some cool shit that was about to happen. But having that moment, and you did that also with Talos and Lamplighter, that just kind of shaped and molded what the story was. It wasn't you creating the story with us living in it. It was, hey, let's all put some input in here and let's create this world. And I even wrote it in on my notes in big bold letters that I loved that you pushed creativity and world building opportunity, whether it was small or large, onto the players. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I got to go give full credit to Jason Cordova on that. That's a Jason Cordova technique. It's part of the DNA of Brindlewood Bay, and I couldn't wait till June to try it out. So you guys became my guinea pigs. And if you want to hear me talk about it a little bit more in depth, last night I did a stream about Book of Beasts and Forbidden Lands, and I ended up talking about this particular technique. And told them, I said, I think I'm going to use it in Blades tomorrow. But if you want to hear a little bit more of my thinking about what Jason's doing with this concept of telling, and it's so contradictory to the advice we always hear, right? You never tell your players how they feel, but it's a weird twist, which is, saying to Talos, what is it that makes you think this? What does it that makes you feel this? What is it about that makes you uneasy? And you're taking a little bit of agency away, right? Because we're saying this is your reaction to it, but you're handing over a ton of agency by saying, you tell me why, right? And there's an incredible amount of world building. I found it very powerful to give that out during play as a GM, but also had a ton of fun riffing off of it, right? Because it becomes more and more kindling for me to go, and like suddenly this throwaway woman who was having a cigarette outside, I just created a whole thing for her now, right? Based off of just what Nick threw out there, not even knowing what Nick had no idea what was coming. And it, and it made, I knew that I now needed to make the staged office even spookier, right? And even crazier because we'd already kind of laid that first tone down. So yeah, if you don't own, obviously, if you don't own Blades, I don't even know what the hell you're doing, because everybody needs to own Blades. But go check out Brindlewood Bay by Jason Cordova, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. And he does it even more with a technique called Paint the Scene, and another technique called establishing details, or establishing question, I think is what it is. All of these little techniques are very, very interesting in a way that in ways you see me use Blades concepts in my other games, you're seeing me pull something from Brindlewood Bay into Blades. All right, so next weekend, I think it's next Saturday, if memory serves, we have got the return of Roman, Vaslav, and Nick, but we're going to Great Britain in the 19th century for a little bit of spooky Vaesen, and something's going on in that convent, and it's only getting worse. And I think the fourth person who's going to really, really kind of kick the whole thing off is with another spooky character. So Joe, we left you in a hell of a spot. So I'm very anxious to see, or not Joe, it's not you,
Robert.
Joe, it's
Robert.
Thank you. Another spooky character though. Robert, we left Robert in quite a very interesting space. So we'll see that next weekend. We will be back. This is not the end of the Umbral Means. Starting with Joe, you want to do some plugs?
So, if you like demons, boy, do I have a thing for you. I am the author of Arcanus London Branch, a webcomic about the Chosen of Artemis, discovering and dealing with the magical world. We just introduced the as promised demonic lawyer Callum Finch is here. If you liked Nerix being dramatic as hell, that's Callum, baby. That is available on Webtoons and Tapas. That is again Arcanus London branch. I'm also the co-host of the WTF Anime podcast, the show where a fan of anime inflicts anime upon someone who has been watching a lot more anime, and it's sort of throwing off the entire scheme of the show, but it's fine because it's not about the anime, it's about the friends and gin we made along the way.
Roman, plugs?
Well, I know anybody who's watched this before has heard me plug the Steam Powered Scoundrels podcast, which I will continue to do. Today, I have a specific fun call out. If you would like to meet us all in person, come June 16th, 17th, and 18th, we will be in Des Moines for a 3-day Malifaux event, which is going to be a GT, but also this is all going to charity. For the charities are a few things to fight kids' cancer. And the Friday event is going to be essentially Cutthroat Kitchen, but Malifaux. So even if you aren't there, you can get onto the event on Facebook. There's a link to the actual thing that takes care of the money. And we're setting up a system where you can put more money into the donation to, I'm going to give this person an extra cool thing to help them on this turn, or take one away, or it's going to be a blast. We're going to do that. We're going to have a 2-day Malifaux event, and we're going to play some Bonanza Brawl, which is going to be a lot like playing, oh, my brain just lost it. Smash Bros in real life with Malifaux minis. It is a blast. I hope to see all of you there.
Vaslav.
I don't have any plugs today.
So plug somebody else.
Plug somebody else. So
What do you-
I'm
wh- wh-
recent.
What content are you digging?
Recently, I've been watching. Well, let me pull this up. Can Nick go first?
Yep,
And
Nick.
I can plug somebody else.
Actually, I forgot to put the actual name of that event out, so let me throw that out first. Good Things Happen. If you look up the Scoundrels on Facebook, you will find it.
Yeah, my plug would go straight to Roman's event, it's Roman and Doug's event, right? Great cause that means a lot to the community and the families that are involved. And I'm personally going to try to fly up there and be part of this as well. Donations are already set to where you can do it ahead of time and contribute. It's a good cause to good people, and I highly recommend that. And my second plug is going to be support your content creators, y'all. They do a great job, so throw a few bucks their way.
Appreciate it, Nick. Vaslav?
So it's something completely different, but it's from hobby space mainly. So this is because I've been lately watching a guy who starts to push out a bit more videos. It's called Shifting Lands, the same handle for the YouTube. And he's focusing on how you can make from a foam nice terrain, how you can use foam cutter to make nice dioramas. And I got inspired, and for example, for one board game, I'm making from a foam, like 3D board, instead of just to have a cardboard cutout.
Oh, that's
So-
cool.
And it's a small channel. He's a really cool guy. I think he's from Netherlands. And he also has some product that help with it, but mainly shows the techniques and how that works. So
What's the
that's
name of it again?
Shifting Lands.
Shifting Lands. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Hope to see all of you on our next stream for Vaesen, and take care.
Take care, y'all.
So yeah.
Bye.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.